You call me a saint, but you know I'm a stranger, all willing and able to do what you want. You think I'm a thing.
Good morning, guys. Welcome, Smarter Options. I've been programming away at some certain things, so sorry I'm back this week. All right, so let's take a look at a few things. Really zoom out and look at some different charts and just see what's been going on here. VIX for the first time. So here's weekly. So these are just some EMAs, 8, 13, 21, and 50. 8 being yellow, 13 being white, 21 red, 50 being green. Okay. Whenever those get crossovers, we tend to get bullish or bearish moves, right? One of the important things to realize too is when these do cross over, they tend to get retests, especially on larger time frames, right? So these become more accurate the farther you zoom out. But you can see we got a cross here where it started everything crossed up. We did come back and retest, and it started to keep going up, right? This is the first time though since it went, since the VIX went bullish, which is bad, right? Since January of 22, this is the first time that we've had a down cross, and it's been coming down. Now, one thing that's important to say here is, like I said, we really haven't gone for a retest yet. I'd imagine we might get a little bit of volatility coming back up to retest. See even here where it went bullish, came back and retested. Here where it went bearish, came back and retested. Okay, but then it still went down overall. Still look at all these spikes every week. I mean, it's just been crazy volatility. Right now, it's we go back in time here. You can see there's been times where we haven't gotten nearly as many spikes as we have of here, this year. I mean, look at this, is just crazy, all these tall spikes that we've been getting. And that's really been since, March of 22, but it came back down. It's come up a little bit, but here we're starting to move back down. So good things possibly coming. Okay, that's on a bigger view. Let's look at the 1 day. It's tried coming down before, came back and retested and failed to hold it back down. So it went up again. Now we've come down, and it did retest here on the 1 day, and it's been pushing down ever since. But like I said, if we look at that weekly chart, we can see that we'll probably get a retest. So I could see us going back up and retesting this 50 again at some point here in the near future. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hours really been pushing down. Since these crossed down here back in June, and they all crossed down, right? We lost the 50. We've been heading in a downward pattern since June, and kind of explains the bullish nature that's been going on here. Let's go take a look at MES. You can see here we're on our way, it looks like, to try and test this 4,200 range, which is my third PT that we set out for MES, anywhere from 4,200 to 4,210. Okay. But I imagine 4,200 is going to be maybe that's where we pull back, right? We're going to hit 4,200. VIX needs to have a pullback or a ramp up, to retest resistance. So maybe that happens after here. Or maybe the dips keep getting bought and we just keep pushing higher. I'll just tell you guys what normally happens. We can go back and look at what normally happens, right? Let's look at the 1 week on MES real quick. Okay, so are we going to turn bullish here in the long-term outlook of MES? We just had a down cross here. You really look at it 1 week, right? It doesn't take much to get some time. From right here to right here, that's a month. 4 bars is a month. But my point is, we just had the down cross here. We came up and retested. We failed, but we failed the 50 EMA, and now we're coming back to retest that. The question we have to get here now is, are we going to keep breaking up? I mean, we haven't gotten officially the crossovers on this larger time frame of the 1 week. Okay. So this going back to COVID right here, we've been in a really cross up ever since March of 2020, and it just crossed down in January of 22 to where the market really started to, or the MES started to fail anyway. Rest of the market's been doing shit. You can't judge the market by the indices anymore, so I think you guys all know that by now. Let's look at the 1 day. Yeah, so 1 day we just turned bullish. Okay. Like I said, you can see these targets here that I laid out for this bullish breakout of this downward wedge we were in. But we really just got the crossover here. We broke the 50 EMA. We came back and retested, and here we are moving upward. Okay. Here you can see we failed, and we got a cross down and failed the 50 EMA, came back and retested. Now you could have bought here, or you could have bought here. Either way, you would have won. It was important to wait. So, and then if it crosses down and it fails, right? Stop loss would be if it goes back up, which would have been right here. It wasn't quite ready to fail yet. And then it finally failed up over here just a little bit later. Well, that's MES. Let's look at MNQ real quick and see how that one looks. I'm sure it's similar. Yep. Okay, so here we're at the top of a resistance, it looks like, possibly. That's right there. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so in this channel, we're getting bullish here. Cross it up, but let's look at the 1 week and see what that looks like. Same thing. So we're about to test that 50 EMA. We want to see that break out. Okay. So we want to see this break out, break up, and then we'd come back and get that retest of that 50. Just like when we failed here, we came back and retested. All right. But yeah, so 1 day, let's look at the 4 hour. Right. 4 hour really started to go bullish right here, came back and retested. Kind of failed there for a minute, but it's been wanting to go bullish, right? Dips have been getting bought. But now we have to see what happens as we get to this resistance. We have to see if it breaks through or if this is just part of a longer term, pattern that now we're gonna go back downward. It really could go either way, right, guys? Because we're in earnings season. Things are bullish. They tend to always be bullish this time of year. However, we're in a recession. I guess not if you go by the administration's, kind of new standard of what a recession is. Personally, I think, and don't get me wrong, guys, I'm not playing politician here because I both sides do it. But we can't just keep saying that we're not in a recession. Just like, this isn't really inflation. It's just transitory. Come on. We all knew that was stupid, that it wasn't transitory. I think we all know that we are in a recession. I don't care what they say job reports are. Everywhere is low on people. They're still giving out COVID money. So I don't know, how does everywhere have hiring signs up, but we have the lowest unemployment ever? It just doesn't make sense. And part of that is because of the way we measure unemployment rates. All right. Let's look at some stocks here quick. Let's look at Apple and just look at some of these on longer terms and shorter terms. So once again here on the 1 week, we're just now getting the crossover. With that, usually when we get the crossover, we get some kind of retest, but on this larger time frame, maybe not as much of a retest. So really, long-term out, Apple is looking pretty good here. Just because we're about to get the 3 crossovers. We're not quite there yet, but we're really close. As long as the stock holds above 153, it's looking like we're going back towards a long-term bullish trend. Okay. Once again, you can see here's COVID, and it's really been a bullish trend. It tried to almost break down a couple of times, but kept getting dips, getting bought. Finally got the crossover here in April, and it fell pretty hard. But now we're coming back up. The question is this a retest? Are we in some type of pattern here? This is going to break down more, or are we breaking out? So we just need to make sure that this crossover happens on a longer term, and then it continues upward. The 1 day, same thing, right? Really, this is more for leaps once out, but and you can use the MACD. You can look at bullish divs while we do this. Look for crossovers with bullish or bearish divs. These are all the things that we look for when we take trades. I used to do 920 a little bit more. I'm kind of switching to on these larger time frames, I like the 8, 13, 21. Just a side note, guys. So long traders tend to use 920. Short traders tend to use the 8, 13, 21. I'll tell you why. It's because it gives the bullish indication slightly sooner. So a lot of times they close out their positions because the 821 will give a slight long signal before a 920 will. Apple, so that's good right there. 1 day. 1 day, 4 hour. Once again, 4 hour. We started to go bullish here. We came back and retested. Upon breaking above the 50 EMA, could have done a long here with the bullish crossover. That would have been on July 6th. Let's get Airbnb real quick. 1 week. So lots of these stocks, right? Lots of these stocks are on the verge of trying to go bullish long term, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, Airbnb hasn't been trading as long, but here we have a cross down, cross up, and a cross up. It was bullish for several weeks. Here's from August to November. So for several months, here it broke down. Really, it broke down right here. We had back in, kept a couple of retests. That was the market trying to push. Everybody wanted things to go bullish there for so long, but just couldn't, and it finally gave out. Now, possibly though, we have to watch, but maybe now we'll see these crossover on the longer terms. We have lots of stocks that look this way. We just got a bullish crossover really on the 1 day here, just a couple weeks ago. We come back and retest. Now we broke the 50. Airbnb is looking fairly good for a long right now. Surprised by 25%. I like Airbnb. Adobe. Let's look at the 1 week again. Same thing. Guys, we're heading back up towards the retest of this 50, and we have to see if this is a hold or not a breakout. But things are on these longer time frames. Things are starting to try and go bullish. We're at a previous high here. I'd like to see a new higher high formed. But if we zoom out here, we're still not. We haven't had that crossover yet. We're still below the 50 or the 0 line on the MACD, which shows us that we're still in a downtrend currently. But the leader did go positive here. If we go to the 1 day, it just started to cross here back on July 19th, came back for a retest, and it's been breaking up ever since. But once again, we're getting towards a previous high. We want to see it break to a new high. Like to see it break above June. Comments, sorry. Netflix. Let's look at Netflix. Let's look at the 1 week first. Same thing, guys. We're starting to get this curve here. We want to see it break above. We are getting above the zero line with the leader on the 1 week. Let's zoom into the 1 day. What gap are you talking about, Beatish? It's a big ass gap too. What gap? Am I missing something? Talking about this one down here? No, that's already been filled. You have to help me out with what gap on Netflix. Let's go to the 4 hour. See, once again, here we got a crossed out. We went and retested, right? We went bullish on the crossover, but couldn't get above the 50. And we failed. It wasn't ready. And it keeps trying, Here we finally on the 4 hour, it broke above. Haven't really got a retest yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see us pull back a little bit, but last ER drop, April, very left, 1 day chart. Okay. Oh yeah, that gap. That's very possible because, like I said, we've gotten the crossover here on the 1 day. Like to see it hold above this 50 EMA, but it definitely looks like, the 20 is crossing the 50 here. That's also a longer term bullish move. Yeah, that's a big gap. There's even a bigger gap to fill back to January, because we never filled this gap. So we have a gap to 30, 32, and then we have another gap here. Netflix might be good for a longer term long here. We could do a leap and just use that recent low here of 210 as a stop, use the 50 EMA as a stop. I like that. I'm gonna write that down. Netflix long. Thanks, Peter. Just let this bullish consolidation, or do you think it's resistance from last year drop? I don't know yet. Like I said, we're getting this crossover here, but on the 1 week, I guarantee you, yeah, it's the same thing, right? We haven't gone. The price is above, but really, the 8 is below 13, 13 is below 21. This has not proven itself to be out of a downtrend at all. And you can see a couple times here. So here was a drop, right? And we came back and even tried to come up and retest the 13. Didn't close above the 9 or the 8, and got shut down lower. Now, at least here, we've broken above the 8 and 13. So that's the first steps, but we need some crossovers to happen. But, I don't think it's any coincidence here that the 50, I bet the 50 EMA, let me get out of the 1 week. Let's go to the 2 day. So that price was at 3, that close. It's got a gap up to almost 350. So let's go back to the 1 week real quick. And that's right where the 50 EMA is at. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it go back and retest that. But we got to break above the 20, 21 EMA here first. But I'd like this for a long for sure. With just recent lows as not recent lows. I would use probably, like I said, 211, 210 as your stop. That's still the 1 week chart. 2 day, we're just getting the crossover. We need to break through that 250. But it's looking like it could do it. I hope it's bullish consolidation, but there's still in the back of my mind, I just keep thinking about how we're in a recession. I just don't think I don't know. I think long term here, I think we're going to be still in some trouble, but in the short term, market's way down, we could get some bounces and go bullish for a little bit more this year, until some more of this recession, until some more reality clicks in. Ever since COVID, reality doesn't seem to affect the market. Well, they just had earnings, which was, like I said, they beat by 20 or 8%. They were down in revenue, but up on profit. But they've had positive ER, I guess, for almost the last year, and it's been not pleasant. 25%, 59%, beat by 21%, beat by 8%, and now will be the time where they turn around. So stupid. But you know what? We're just breaking the zero line here. This is coming down. There's always a chance this could get rejected. We see and then we see. We'll just watch it. Yeah, they're thinking outside the box again. They're doing some things to try, and they're doing multiple accounts now. So like you can add more people to an account. I think they're trying to capitalize on get some of that revenue back from people that just share accounts. Now they're doing it like you can add someone to your account for like $5 or whatever. I think they're just trying to get people to be a little bit more legit and slow down the free streaming that people do where multiple households share an account. Let's see if there's anything else. ARK. Same thing, right? So ARK is one. I like this as a judge of how the market's doing, just because it's innovation, and innovation tends to get hit first. And we're just starting to get this crossover on the 2-day. Same thing on the 1 week. We haven't gotten a close on the 1 week above the 13 EMA. Since November. Okay. So we definitely like to see a crossover happen here, and then maybe go long on ARK as well, especially if we're gonna go bullish. BA. Once again, we're going to retest all these. Here you can see this breakout. We came back and retested, and it held and it went up higher. But like I said, ever since it got crossed down here, it's been struggling. It kept trying, finally failed. Now we just got to see if this is going to be this is really a bullish consolidation and it's going to be able to break out, or if it's going to hold and fail again. Another important one, BABA. Notice BABA here so far. Okay. BABA kind of already attempted and failed. And it is, it tried to get the crossover, but it did not get all three. And it's, currently low. They did beat on earnings, but BABA is not necessarily showing, like I said, it already kind of tried and failed. So now we got to see if this is just a retest and consolidation to get back up, or if it's going to hold. Just to look back a little bit, cross down, came back and retested, failed, and kept going lower. So see what happens here next, but not looking great for a long on BABA yet. Anything you guys want to see? Tesla pre-split. I see, that's another thing. Google, Amazon, what was the other one that just split? Shop, right? None of them have really done good since the split. Let's take a look here at the 1 day. Actually, so maybe I take that back, right? We broke the 50, failed, came back, and it's retesting again and trying. It looks like successful this time. Still like to see all these cross over. I mean, these crossed, but like to see that 20 cross the 50. But actually, shop's looking fairly good for a long. That finally, after it split, which it split was on June 29th, so it took over a month. It's August 8th right now. Let's go look at Tesla here quick. You got the crossover here, but we're coming back down to retest. I'm just not sure if it's going to hold going into the split. Beat by 25%. That's pretty good. So I would almost, if you do something going into the split, just be careful. But last time they split, it was phenomenal. But who knows? Like I said, so here was the split last time. It ran up going into it, but then it, the next week afterwards, it fell. But then it ran and took off. Not until it got kind of pinched here, 334 up to 400, and then it took off. I would say there's no hurry to buy the split, but I could be wrong. I did that. I rushed it with Amazon, and it's finally taken off, but it took a long time too. Amazon real quick. I mean, and here's some breakout targets I put on Amazon a while back. We hit the first one, it bounced, came back down, got support. We went and got the second one. That's pretty much where it opened at. Now we're on our way for our third target. Fourth being a retest of in this area. And possibly your next target would be, a retest of right here. But then we have to watch, once again, 266% down. They lost money per share. And still, apparently that's good for Amazon. So Tesla, I wouldn't rush into it. If you do, buy something small and if you want to get in and then average down, put enough time because it might take a while. Chewy, here was that breakdown, but it 50 held. You guys remember I bought puts on this. It held though and kept going up. Honestly, I expected it to fall right here. It went up to a new next support or next resistance. And there was your cup and handle right here, right? We had drawn out kind of a cup and handle scenario. Thought it would break right here, come down and go up. Well, it went up to the next one, came down and went up. So I was off one support resistance line on that one. And you guys want to see? Like I said, a lot of these stocks are the same, guys. They're just now starting. Here it tried to go positive. Tried to go bullish, and it's been mixing and solid. Now it's finally breaking up. A lot of this stuff looks like it could be trying to break up, but and especially now that we're clearing this 50 EMA, you can see here before we were really strong this 50 EMA, and then it crossed down again. It just could not get above it. Here on the cross down, it held for a minute, then it failed, and it's been failing ever since. November of 21. Here it tried in March, didn't make it, but now we're finally, here we tried again, and it held, and we broke through, and now we're finally moving up. A lot of stocks look like they could be going bullish here, but need some confirmation on various stocks to confirm. But probably taking some long positions coming up here. On some support pullbacks. See, here's FTX. It started to fail. We took a put on that. Ended up going profitable, but it did not go profitable in time. It did go. I thought it was going to fill this gap down to 200. It did not. It got down to 210. Support held, and it went higher. Google, once again, also starting to hold. Need it to hold the 50 EMA still, and then keep going up. But we are wearing out already. I mean, that's an important thing to look at. Look at the MACD, see where, what it's been doing here, but it's already wearing out. It's not quite ready, it doesn't look like. Also had negative earnings. So short story is, guys, we're right on the verge of possibly going some longs here, but this could be some of these stocks. We've had this before where it looked like it was going to try and go positive, but the 50 EMA held it down. I mean, we've had crossovers before. Looked like it was going to go bullish, did not. Looked like it was going to go bullish, did not. And like on Meta here, for example, it's still technically downtrend. Failed again. Need to clear that 50 EMA and hold it for longer term. We want that 20 across that 50 and show us a longer term stretch up. NVIDIA. You guys remember Pelosi bought a bunch of options in June for calls. Like I said, if you buy deep in the money, like rich people do, like the Pelosi did, okay? I'm just saying Pelosi because I saw that story. Remember she just went to Taiwan. But it did go lower. They don't care. They're up now. I mean, it's up higher than it was any point in June, really. Actually, it's pulling back a little bit here for support, but I imagine that NVIDIA is a good long to do. Some news will be coming out for that, I'm sure. All right, guys, I'll let you get back to it. Take a look at some stocks. I'll be posting some plays today and tomorrow. And we'll see you guys. Well, maybe not today. Maybe tomorrow. I'm going to look at see how this week opens here. But dips have been getting bought, so keep that in mind. All right, guys, have a good day. We'll talk to you in chat.
On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up.